Hello, I'm Allison Collins. We are here at Amherst Symphony. We're on break right now, and I'm here with Molly Carroll. Hi, Molly. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Allison.
Why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about where you're from and why you chose the violin?
I'm from Gouverneur, New York, in St. Lawrence County, and my mother was a person who filled the house with music, and she played the violin, and she played the other instruments, but the violin was just there, and she said, well, you must learn to play the piano. So my sister and I took piano lessons. My sister couldn't stand the violin, so she was given a French horn. She still plays.
And you went to school the same place I did for your undergraduate, it looks
We
like.
went to Crane School, Potsdam, New York, my mother and my sister, and now we have a relative, a granddaughter of my sister who will major in French horn at Syracuse U. She's from out of state. She doesn't really know about Crane.
You teach, or you taught.
I always taught. Sometimes I was the sub at Amherst Middle, Amherst High. I did band, I did orchestra, and I taught choral music. I taught at the American School in London. Came to Buffalo. It was kind of a shock in the late 60s, but it's been our home now for 50 years. And most Monday nights I've been at rehearsal. And my own three sons, for many years, not now, but they were in the audience through many concerts.
All right. And have you played with other ensembles besides Amherst Symphony?
I've played with the Amherst Chamber group. I once played in quartets, and I've played in Boston Symphony Orchestra for a while, and that's it.
All right. And I understand you know a little French.
I really worked on French for the past 9 years. My name was Boulet, and every person I ever met said, oh, you speak French, and I had to say no. I was kind of a Latin nerd, but in Buffalo we have wonderful resources for studying French, and I use it, and people say, she's very affected, but I try to write it every day.
Oh, wow. That's great. And tell us about your experiences with vintage clothing.
Yep. After years of, I've always, as I said, taught music, but it became very tough to get the right job in, say, the late 80s or 90s. And so I decided I needed to do something else, and I have always loved costume. And one thing led to another, and for 20 years, I did some vintage shows in New York called Manhattan Vintage. I did Sturbridge, Massachusetts. It was lots of fun. I met everybody, and they bought things from me that came from Buffalo stores. So Buffalo's always been very well known in New York. But try selling fabulous things in Buffalo. That's another matter.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't. I've never done much in Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And I'm also a lace collector and kind of an expert in that.
Interesting.
So my house is a very, very busy house, filled.
Wonderful. So going back to the violin, can you tell us about the instrument you play on? Is it old? Is it new?
My instrument was my mother's, and I found out a few years ago when it was appraised. It was a combination of a handmade instrument, but also the beginning of kind of machine-tooled parts, maybe at the beginning of the 20th century. But my mother always had a good violin, and so I have that now, and I hope it's going to be passed down. No, I've never had to put out 50,000 and up for a violin.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of viola too, and when I first started in this orchestra, I was in the viola section.
So what made you move back to the violins?
I think wanting to play the real parts, the great passionate themes of opera, and That's another passion of mine is the opera.
Sure, yeah, I see that you played with the Opera Sacra.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Yeah, I did that. That was a great pleasure to play something like Dialogue of the Carmelites, some of those wonderful religious choral works that were done by Opera Sacra in sacred spaces. And one time we did the Brubeck Mass, the Jazz Mass, and Dave Brubeck was conducting us. What a great memory. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, yeah, sure. So you've been in Amherst Symphony long enough. Do you have some Joe Vincent stories?
Well, he was kind of in a way, a mentor to me, and he was very kind. I was the same age of his maybe oldest daughter. And when I had twins, he sent me flowers. I hope. So that was the kind of, we had a friendship. And I just thought the world of him. And he was kind of flamboyant, but I understood that and really liked that.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening, Molly.
Thank you, Allison. I just wanted to say, to live in a community where I can play with these musicians, teachers in the community, and to play the great works, not just everyday music, but to play sometimes great symphonies has been a great richness. Thank you.